Hey guys, Geno Zero, how you doing? I hope all is well in YouTube land. Whatever part of the world you are in. Okay, I have been asked to do a video on some of the tools that we use on a regular basis around here. Before we even get into it, I would want to say that I am no expert tool-onometrist or any of that kind of stuff. I don't have any kind of expertise in tools. I am not even very good at like carpentry and stuff like that. I just, there's certain things that basic stuff that can be done that I do, and these are some of the tools that we use, and just some of the tools. We have more tools, and we'll kind of get into that as we go along. But for a basic general idea, some of the things that you'll need to clear some ground, cut some firewood, work up the dirt for a garden, those kind of things, cleaning out your barns and taking care of your animals. This is what we use, and like I said, again, I'm not an expert, just a dude that making a video on YouTube. So here you go. Here's what we have it. I guess I'll start with what I carry on my person all the time, and I'm not going to get into where to get them, how to get them, where I got them, all that kind of stuff, because that'll take up way too much time if I try to tell a story behind each tool. So just kind of use this as a general idea. Ideas of what I use, and then make your own ideas and go from there. If you're looking to get into homesteading, then you can say, well, I didn't like that shovel, but I'm going to go with this kind of shovel, blah, blah, blah. All right, what I carry on me all the time is a flashlight. Comes in very handy, dark corners of the barn, blah, blah, blah. Anytime you need light, you got one. I carry a 3-inch blade folded Ontario Rat, Randall's Adventure Training Knife. Great, great knife. I beat the crap out of this thing, and it still holds an edge and it still kicks. I carry that. I carry a Leatherman Wave all the time on me. Always have a good multi-tool because, again, we use it all the time. And then on the other side of my tool belt here, I carry my pistol, just because, well, you never know what you're going to run into, and you never know when you're going to need your pistol. You got a coyote chasing down your chickens, or a fox, or something out there that doesn't need to be there. Sometimes you got to defend your property and your critters. So, all right, moving on. Working the dirt. We have post hole diggers. Pretty self-explanatory. I do not have a mechanical version of this. They do make the gas, the gas augers that you hold and it augers in. We do it with this, and it's a workout, but it will dig a post hole or a hole straight down deep for you for setting corner posts for your fence or for setting posts for a building. Big scoop shovel. We use this for cleaning out the barn, for moving anything that you want to scoop a whole lot of, even snow. It comes in really handy if you're moving wood chips, compost, cleaning out, mucking out your barn, and so on and so forth. We have a flat shovel, which we also use for a little bit tougher jobs. It's a little bit thicker metal. So if we're needing it for digging, moving large sections of dirt, or cleaning out barns and so on and so forth, moving other things, a good square shovel. We have a bullnose shovel. This is obviously for working dirt, working in the garden, digging holes, burying, digging, so on and so forth. Good bullnose shovel. A good hoe, and these are all, I mean, this is not top of the line, really expensive stuff. This is, just decent qualities that you would get at your local big box store, local home improvement store, or whatever. A decent hoe. I try not to get one. Some of the hoes that are cheaply made will be welded. This neck piece will be welded to the blade. That weld will usually break very quickly, and then you'll be left with just a hook on a stick, which does come in handy for certain things, but it doesn't work, for hoeing the garden. So a decent hoe. A quick tip on your hoe and your shovels is if you take a file once a year and sharpen them, they work a lot better. It's a blade, it's a bladed tool, so a good sharpening will definitely help as far as when you're hoeing and you're cutting grass and so on and so forth. If it's sharp, it does a lot better job. Same thing with especially your bullnose shovel. You keep a good edge on that and sharpen it, it will dig better and take less work to do. A good rake, good quality garden rake. This is what they call a garden rake, I think. Like I said, I'm not a tool-onometrist or just a dude, but a good solid rake for raking up garden, raking up weeds after you get through weeding, rake it all up, moving dirt, leveling, blah, blah, blah. It rakes stuff, so it's a rake. We do also have a big wide plastic leaf rake that we rake up piles of grass and so on with, but we don't use it very often. Next digging tool that is very necessary for around here is a, I call it a pickaxe. Some folks call it something else, I don't remember. But it does come in very handy for digging, especially if you live in an area like I do, which is full of clay and rock. A lot of times we will chip out, would dig with this first, excuse me, dig the hole with this, and then clean it out with one of the wide shovels. Clearing property, clearing land. I do have a gas-powered weed whacker that we use quite a bit, but a lot of the property that I have here was cleaned with this, just because one, gas is expensive, electric is expensive. This does a very effective job. It's something that you can swing and get a good swing. You get a lot of leverage on, and if you're cutting a lot of small saplings and those like multiflora rose bushes and big thickets of briars and brush, this does a much better job, in my opinion, than a weed whacker, unless you have a bush hog or something like that available, which I do not. So a good sickle is a very handy thing to have around for clearing out new area that you want to garden in. We have a smaller version, a more modern version of a sickle, which is kind of like a big golf club that you just swing back and forth like this, and it chops down smaller weeds in areas that that maybe you just don't want to mow, or if you want to cut down a section of tall grass to feed your critters or whatever. The sickle will do the same thing. This is just a lot lighter and easier to swing for a long period of time. You know, old timers used to cut their hay fields with them sickles, man. Whew, kudos. This here is called a timber jack. What this is used for is if you're working on firewood or big logs and you need to flip it over to finish cut, so you can only cut down. You don't want to put your bar of your chain into the dirt. So you'll cut it down to a certain point, and then you'll hook this hook onto the log and roll it over, or you can hook it onto the log and roll it up like this onto that leg to where you can cut and saw off ends like that. It's just a logging tool that you use to move big chunks of wood. It gives you a lot of leverage, and it's very, very sturdy. So timber jack or log jack, stuff like that it's called. A good decent splitting maul. This is an 8-pounder with a hickory handle. Comes in handy for splitting wood. Again, we do have a gas-powered log splitter, but unless we're going to be using it for a long period of time and splitting a lot of wood, a lot of times if we're just splitting up a couple of logs, we'll get the splitter out, we'll get this maul out or the axe and split it with that. One, it saves gas, and two, it is pretty good exercise, and it'll make you break a sweat and you know, get you a little bit of exercise for the day, because there's nothing wrong with it. Then we have an axe. It's always a good thing to have a decent axe around. This is my double-headed, double-bit axe. I've had this thing for years and years. We use it for everything from splitting wood to chopping down small trees, and I've made several videos about this before as well. Again, bladed and edged tools are much more effective when they're sharp. So make sure you keep your axe sharp, make sure you keep your sickle sharp, make sure you keep your maul sharp. They will work a lot better. My baby, this is my Stihl 391 20-inch bar chainsaw. We literally use the crap out of this thing all year long, whether it's for cutting logs, cutting firewood, clearing brush, cutting trees for posts for buildings, cutting whatever, even, you know, like when we cut windows in the barn, I usually will cut them out with this thing. This thing is just, in my opinion, one of the absolute necessities to have. If you don't live in an area where you burn wood, it's still a good thing to have a chainsaw around. Storms and whatnot will bring trees down, big limbs and so on. They fall across your fence. You got to have a way to do it. Get it cleaned up quick before all your animals get out and they're running all over the place. Don't ask me how I know. I'm just saying. Chainsaw. Got to have one. Doesn't have to be a Stihl. I used to have a Husqvarna 455 Rancher, I believe it was. It was an excellent saw, but I finally killed it after about 10 years. It died big time. So I got a replacement, and I'd always heard guys talking good things about Stihls. I've had this for probably going on 3 years now, and it is a very good, reliable, and credible saw. I always try to keep the chain sharp and tight, and I usually will keep this thing filled with oil and gas, just because if there ever comes a time when you have to just grab it and go, You want to just be able to grab it and go. You don't want to have to, I always keep it ready for use, I should say. Pull out a box, start it up, and cut. A good example is a couple weeks ago, we had this tree come down right there. They come down across our fence, and we've got goats and pork chopping the chickens, and I had to get that thing off the fence, get the fence back up before we had to do a good old-fashioned chicken chasing all through the hills, which really sucks. So that's why I keep mine ready to go. Plus, we're in the middle of storm season. If something comes down on the house and I got to get to it right now, I don't want to have to take time to oil it and gas it and sharpen the chain. It's ready to go. Another cutting tool is what they call a bow saw. This is just one that I got at a big box store. Good for cutting limbs off of big trees that come down. Good for limbing. Good for cutting firewood, small rounds. It is a good idea to have hand saws around. Just in case you are whether without gas or without oil. A good old-fashioned hand saw will do a lot of good work for you, and you can still get what you need to get done. It'll take a little bit more time and a little bit more elbow grease, but it's a good idea to have it. And this is also a good thing to have around, a good set of pruners or shears, just for taking off limbs of trees, clearing out areas. You got one limb that's making a bunch of shade over some place that you don't want. You reach up, you take it down. Or, anything clearing property, all that kind of stuff. It's a good idea to have some of these around. And then we get into, this is what I carry. If I got projects going on, a little building here and there, then I get my tool bag, and I keep lots of stuff in my tool bag at all the time. This is my go-to saw. I have a circular saw, I have a jigsaw, I have a sawzall, we have the chainsaw. But if I'm just building something a little quick something, a table or a little addition onto one of the buildings or something, this is the saw that I use. It's a DeWalt hand saw. To me, it's worth, if I'm only going to make 10 or 15 cuts of boards or whatever, I'm not going to get an extension cord and drag it out and fire up the generator and get the skill saw and all that kind of stuff. I will just get this, and once you learn how to use these and you get pretty good at it, you can cut through anything pretty quickly, and I just love it. This is my go-to saw. That's why it's in my everyday carry tool bag. And you can actually even cut firewood with these because I've cut small rounds before with this to bring them up and split them up for firewood. So a good idea to have around. I got a little thing of various screws and screw heads here that I keep in my tool bag. My tool bag is a disaster plumber strap because it's handy for lots of stuff. In here I keep a little hatchet, a hammer, a little small T-square with a level on it. Another one of my main go-to things is this little cordless drill, screw gun, whatever it is that you want to call it. Man, we use the crap out of this thing. This one is a Master Force. It's not a not a real expensive one, but man, it has held up good, and they are very, very good to have around. And there's just a bunch of other crap that I keep in my tool bag that I carry around with me, my staple gun, various pliers and wire strippers and wire and all kinds of stuff, screwdrivers, tape measure, extra staples. Just it's a good idea to have a bag or a bucket to where you can keep this kind of stuff in. That way when you go out to do your projects, you just grab it and you can go knowing that you'll have pretty much everything that you need to do whatever it is that you're trying to do. I used to use a 5-gallon bucket to haul this stuff in, but when I received, my buddy Matt bought me this Master Force stuff about, I guess 6 years ago for my birthday. And it came with this tool bag, and I've just been using it ever since. And when I go outside to do my projects for the day, I grab my tool bag, and I go out and I hit it, and need to get a bigger one at some point, but I will, and it is what it is. That's what I have for tools. Basic tools, like I said, I have more. I have some power tools, and I have other things. This is just my opinion on a very basic setup of different tools for different jobs that we run across every day on our little homestead here, whether it be repairs or building or everyday maintenance, taking care of the animals, the barns, cutting firewood, whatever it may be. This basic set of tools that I've just shown you is what we use to get by with life out here. So there you have it. I hope it helps. Like I said, I didn't get into where you can get them. I don't leave links to all this kind of stuff because this is stuff that I've acquired over the course of the last 9 or 10 years. A little bit here, a little bit there. And that's the way most of us acquire our tools. It's just a little bit here, a little bit there, and we find a use for it. A lot of these things we use for things that they're not intended for, but they use they do all have a use. At some point in time, you are glad that you have it in your tool shed. So there you have it. Hope this helps. And for all you guys who already know all this kind of stuff, I hope I didn't bore the crap out of you. I know this was a pretty long video, but it is what it is, and I will try to do what I'm asked to do, especially by people who view my videos. There's my tools. So there you have it. Thanks for watching. You guys have a very great day. God bless. The end. Buzz, buzz, the end.